Joining me now is Democrat member of the US House of Representatives, Lloyd Doggett, who has been one of the leading forces in the US Congress when it comes to sanctioning Russia. Mr. Doggett, thank you for joining us on Newsnight. Can I start by saying, is this happening in the US too? We heard from Amir's film that it's happening in the UK. Is it happening also in America?
It does appear to be occurring here. About 12 million barrels of oil came in during the first 5 months of this year. And, every penny, whether it's in the U.S. or pound sterling in UK, that is getting back to the Russians is paying for the war crimes that they are committing in Ukraine, and we have to put a stop to this.
Well, let's talk about how that's done then. Is this an issue is it about putting pressure on the companies themselves who are importing this oil, or is it legislation? Does the government need to act here?
Well, I think we need both. I do think we need to expose those companies, and the companies you mentioned, as well as some major American companies like ExxonMobil and Phillips 66 were among those importing this, I think, gasoline from abroad. We need legislation, though. When I had sponsored the original sanctions legislation just after the invasion in 2022, I don't think we contemplated the possibility of circumvention. This is really very similar to money laundering, but it's a laundromat that has occurred here on this, and Russia gets the money. It doesn't make any difference whether it's crude or refined. We need to plug this loophole. And I will be calling on the administration to do this administratively, which I think they could do, but also entering a legislation that would call on banning imports from any refinery that has Russian oil. And we know that the refinery that America looks to a great deal, the one you mentioned, the largest in the world in India, is getting about 35% of the oil it refines from Russia.
Yeah, and in terms of legislation, do you think you could secure bipartisan support for this, or has the mood fundamentally changed in America?
We would certainly seek that. I think that while the Trump wing of the Republican Party continues to lean to Putin instead of the freedom fighters in Ukraine, that there is some broad bipartisan support for Ukraine, particularly here at this Independence Day week. And I'll be seeking support from Republicans as well as Democrats.
But when you passed your first piece of legislation last year, you said that this would hurt. There would be pain on the American consumer as a result of this, but it would be a price worth paying. Is it going to be a price worth paying now to close off this loophole? How much pain can the American public take?
Well, I think that will be the major question raised, but the amount of foreign oil coming in this fashion from these refined products, in this case, in this fashion, is, I think, modest enough that it will not have an impact on the price at the pump, but it's big enough that it will deny vital funds to Russia that it will be using to promote more aggression in Ukraine.
And let's take a step back. Are sanctions working in the round? Not just this sanction, but sanctions more broadly. Are they succeeding in what they set out to do, or are they fundamentally failing?
Well, I think they are lacking. I think they have accomplished something. I think we see that with the recent actions of the Russian bank and the decline of the ruble, but there's not enough. We need to do more. And of course, the most important thing we need to do is not sanctions, but getting to the Ukrainians all the weapons they need as quickly as possible to use in this counteroffensive.
Congressman Lloyd Doggett, thank you for joining us here on Newsnight.
Thank you.